Hi, and today on Snake Clips we're doing a video called The Christian, the Pagan, and Snakes in the Bible. And what today we're doing is we have a friend of mine, James, who is here today to talk with me. And we're going to be discussing what the Bible has to say about snakes and how actually what the Bible has, everything it says about snakes is true. So stay tuned and watch it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do, hit the like button, and if you want to see more of what we do, hit subscribe. Thank you. Alright, so today we're doing a video about snakes in the Bible. We're going to do it from two aspects. I'm a Christian, and James, my buddy here, is...
I am a pagan.
He is a pagan, and he believes in multiple gods.
Multiple gods of all sorts. I also follow a lot of Buddhist and other Asian thinking.
Okay, and I believe in one God. So we're doing this video so we have two different viewpoints about what we're talking about, and what we're doing is basically we're taking what the Bible has to say about snakes today, and we're going to both have a point of view. Now the first part of this here is really not going to relate as much to James because it's about creation, and James believes more in evolution.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, but I'm going to put it in here anyway, even though James ain't going to have probably much to say about it, because of the fact is that snakes got their bad reputations from a lot of different religions, and Christianity basically does not put a snake in a good light right from the start. So we're going to start off with, and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures, and after his kind the cattle, and the creeping things and the beasts of the earth, after their kind, and it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and God saw that it was good. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good, and the evening and the morning were of the first day. So here I just want to point out that after God made and created the creatures of the earth, including the snakes on that sixth day, God said that it was good. Alright, so obviously then snakes at this point were good. And if you believed in creation, you would have to say
snakes are definitely good.
Snakes are definitely good. Alright, but then now we come to the point where now the serpent, which was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. Okay, the word serpent here comes from a word in Hebrew which means to hiss or to enchant. And again, we're going to ask, it says here, now the serpent was more subtle. Now most people believe snakes are strictly instinctual type of animals. They do not have the capacity to think. And I personally, not because it says it here, but I personally believe that many snakes have the ability to think and have some form of intelligence. What do you think?
Absolutely. Reticulated pythons are a great example. They test their enclosures, they figure stuff out. It's a beautiful thing.
And the new forest cobra, he is one of the smartest little creatures I have seen. He will watch everything. You can move your hand. He will not follow your hand. He will not follow that fake move this hand and grab him with the other one. He's extremely intelligent. So I find it hard to believe that snakes are only instinctual.
Having seen what we've seen over the years, it's hard to believe they're only instinctual.
Okay, here we go, and the Lord God said unto the woman, why hast thou done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Now we're not going to focus on the part of the woman here, okay? We already know about women. We're going to leave that part go. But again, we're talking about a serpent here that beguiled me. Now beguiled, would you say that would be another form of enchant?
I would.
Okay.
Yes.
And because the Hebrew word for snake is to hiss or to enchant, right here we're not definitely talking about a snake then by definition. We could be talking about any type of animal.
Absolutely.
And the Lord said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and thou shalt eat dust all the days of their life. Now, if something is already crawling on the ground, licking the dust, wouldn't be much of a curse for that.
Not at all.
Not at all, no, not at all. So I mean, the way I see it and the way I have seen it many times in a couple of videos, which is pretty cool, is that they show prior to the curse a giant lizard or monitor, which would hiss and beguile Eve, and at which point was cursed and showed a giant snake crawling down out of the tree and crawling across the ground.
Makes sense to me.
So, being Christianity started off with making the snake look bad, I really don't think it was the snake we were talking about. I think it was a lizard we were talking about.
Yep.
Alright, now we go on to the next thing. And God had blessed Noah and his sons and saw unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon all the beasts of the earth. Now here, again, I don't know what your belief is about the Great Flood.
All of the evidence I've seen points to several of them, so it's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
Okay. And again, I literally believe this, but as James has said and has been pointed out many times, most cultures believe in some type of great flood.
Absolutely.
Okay? So here, though, during this great flood, I believe that Noah and his sons are the ones who survived it. And when they got off this ark, at this point, people were basically eating or supposed to eat herbs and stuff. God said to them, okay, now you can eat the animals. So God put the fear into the animals to get away from us. Okay, because you're open season now, you're a Big Mac, all right? So God put that fear in those animals, which is why the snakes try to bite us. It's why the animals that we work with every day are always trying to get us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because to them, we're a huge predator.
Absolutely.
And until we, and later we'll see this hopefully, but until we somehow enchant them or tame them, they're going to be aggressive toward us because we are a threat to them. Alright, and then it says, and they journeyed from the Mount of Hor by the way of the Red Sea and to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the ways. And the people spake against God and against Moses, wherefore have you brought us up into the land of Egypt to die in the wilderness? Okay, they said they had no bread, they had no water, they had no anything, and they were just complaining people all the time. The best part of this, though, is that I believe my God's a God of love and a God of compassion, but I also believe a God of justice, and He likes to discipline His children just like you're supposed to. Okay? And by this, the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they did bite the people, and much of the people died. So what happened was, God punished them by sending fiery serpents. Now, before I make a comment on the word fiery, why would fiery be a word that you would think would be an appropriate word here?
I've never met a snake that spits fire, or that even comes close, but I've met quite a few monitor lizards that would love to take a chunk out of me and would have followed me. I've had Nile monitors chase me across a room before. Sure as hell seemed like a dragon to me.
Okay. I would interpret the word fiery because I have been bit by a rattlesnake, and it's called a hot bite.
Absolutely.
And a very fiery, hot, burning sensation. So to me here, I would interpret that word fiery as the result of the venom.
Absolutely.
That it would be. Okay, and then it says, why did the Lord call them fiery serpents? Well, we just answered that.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Now, what happened here is, then the Lord, after these people, they complained about no food, no water, and everything else, because that's what they do. After God punished them, then they cried to God, okay, well, take this away. Well, God told Moses to cast or build somehow this bronze serpent, put it on a wooden stick and hold it up, and if they look up to this bronze serpent, that they would be healed. So here we're talking about not necessarily idolatry worship. A lot of people believe that the bronze serpent was a prequel to us looking up at the cross of Jesus. But the thing here is that looking up onto that bronze serpent and kind of worshiping that in a way, a lot of religions worship snakes.
Absolutely. You've got the temples in Sumatra that they keep temple vipers in.
Right.
Yeah.
I know I've watched videos where they worship cobras. The cobras are free to roam. You're not allowed to kill them. You're not allowed to touch them. dealt with a lot of people. I wear my Snake Man t-shirts. I go into the gas stations, and I believe, I don't know the religions, but a lot of the Indians, people and stuff, they'll make comments about it and how, you know, their people worship them and stuff like that. So some religions love snakes, worship them, even our Native American Indians.
A lot of Central and South Americans, the Aztecs.
Yeah, they all have snakes. So with religion, I believe religion is probably the biggest thing where snakes are either hated
or they're loved.
Or loved.
Yeah.
Okay, like I said, in Christianity, I think most people have been misinformed about it and been told that snakes are evil, when in reality, if they read the Bible according to like we're going through it right now, they would find out that snakes are not evil. Okay? It says here in Psalms that the poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the death adders that stoppeth her ear. Now, death adders would be...
Oh, tons. Especially in Europe, you've got all of the adder species.
Well, not dead. Death.
Death? That's all snakes.
All snakes, exactly.
All snakes.
Okay, so here we're talking about the fact that snakes are deaf.
Yeah.
Now, they do have ears, apparently. Yeah. They're not on the outside. They don't have holes where they hear airborne noises, but they pick up vibrations through their jaw.
Absolutely.
If I yell into a 40-gallon breeder tank loud enough, the vibrations will, reverberate the glass, and the snake will appear to have heard me. But in reality, it's just the glass vibrating is what he picked up on. So that's why snakes are great at shows, because all the noise does not affect them whatsoever.
Nope.
Unless you take them to a concert, well then you got that bass going in.
Oh yeah.
They'll pick up on that very well. Okay, so we already said snakes don't have ears. Well, they do, but not outside ears. It says they have sharpened their tongues with the like of a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips. I don't know how early we're talking about here, but it was believed basically that garter snakes, ringneck snakes, stuff like that were non-venomous type of snakes, that they basically ate their prey live.
Yep.
Okay. Then it's come to find out that that is not the case. Garter snakes and stuff have...
They've got that nice little Duvernois gland that is the venom-producing gland.
Yeah.
And very feeble delivery system with just regular teeth to chew the venom in, but yeah, it's kind of cool now that they've found pretty much all snakes that aren't boas and pythons are venomous.
Right. They don't just eat their prey live. They do get and what that word you can say it.
Envenomated?
There you go. They do get that word he said right there as they're chewing them, as they're swallowing them down, so they're not technically eaten completely live. So again, saying here that the venom is under their lips would be a very correct statement.
Absolutely.
All right. So, again, we're just trying to show, different things here that the Bible is talking about that man has just recently come to observe. And the Bible talks about venom underneath their lips. And this snake here is a red-sided garter snake. And for many, many years, people had thought garter snakes were completely harmless, and that they actually would eat their prey relatively live. They wouldn't kill it. Then it was discovered that garter snakes and ringneck snakes and other snakes that were told to be harmless actually have venom underneath their lips. These snakes here have a neurotoxic venom, but they do not have a delivery system that would be dangerous to humans. So to people, they still are harmless snakes, but in reality, this is a venomous snake with venom under their lips, just as the Bible says. Let's see, it says, "He that diggeth the pit shall fall into it, and he who breaketh the hedge of a serpent shall be bit."
Well, yeah. You mess with a snake and it's unfamiliar, its only real recourse is to bite.
Exactly. Yeah. Most snakes, their first defense is to...
strike. Although some like to rattle their tails on dry leaves, hiss. But their best defense is a good solid bite.
Right. So basically, the people I know that got let's call it a legitimate bite, which is basically a bite where people like me and him are not literally trying to pick them up and handle them and get bit, as a bite where you're just outside and you're doing whatever and you end up getting bit, is because exactly what it says here. You reach into a bush, you step over a log, a snake just happens to be there. His first instinct is going to be to react and to strike at you. Basically, most first snakes' instincts, if they have the ability, is to just run.
Yep.
Very few will like stand their ground and want to fight with you. They'd more act to get away from you.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see what's the next question here. Well, it's got the same thing to do. It says, if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into a house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent will bite him. And again, sticking your hand, rock climbers have found this many times. Stick their hand in a crevice, pull themselves up. Next thing you know, they got a snake latched onto them.
Yep.
Something that happens all the time.
Absolutely.
The Bible says, he that breaketh the hedge, a serpent shall bite him. And he that put his hand upon the wall, a serpent shall also bite him. So here I'm going to demonstrate that by my jumping viper. And I'm going to offer him a mouse instead of my hand. And we'll watch very closely as I do not take him out. I simply put the mouse close here. There we go. You see that? Barely breaketh his sight, and he shoots out of there and grabs it. Just like if I would have put my hand down there, he would have come out and bit me. So again, this shows how the Bible is true, how it's talking about if you break at the hedge where that serpent is hiding, he shall surely bite you. Let's see. Now here, surely a serpent will bite without enchantment.
But, you know, like you said, rock climber grabs a snake without seeing it. That snake's only defense is to give you a good bite.
And of course, we just saw that without enchantment, a snake will bite. We just saw in the room, we had a coach whip. The coach whip came out what, man?
Oh, he was ready to take a piece out of you.
Okay, and a little enchantment with the wave of the hands around here and picked him up, no problem, didn't bite me at all. Again, even your most aggressive snakes, once they realize you're not a threat, they're not looking to get you. I mean, snakes are not evil per se. I have seen some evil snakes that were just evil per se, but majority of them are not. They're like people.
Absolutely.
And here we're going to show you that an uncharmed serpent, an uncharmed snake, like we have here, surely wants to bite. As you can see, I don't know if you could see him down in here, but he definitely is looking to, there we go, strike at me. Okay, and that is an uncharmed serpent. And the reason he has this fear is because God has put the fear of man into animals, because we are definitely a threat to him. Now I'm going to charm him. I'm going to move in ways that will distract him and charm him, that I will actually be able to pick this serpent up without getting bit. So watch very closely as I do this. You see he still has his mouth open. He still wants to bite me. But as I move in very carefully, I'm going to be able to pick him up. And I have charmed him. As you can see now, he has no inkling to want to bite me at this point because he has been charmed. He now knows that I'm not going to harm him, and he is allowing me to hold him without restraining him. Let's see, and of course it says, and they shall lick the dust like a serpent, and we know that. Okay, all you people who go through all this trouble to buy all this fancy bedding or to feed your snakes in a separate enclosure, it already says here, they're going to eat that stuff. They're not going to die. And like I said, I believe in creation, you believe in evolution.
Yep.
But through evolution, if snakes couldn't swallow dirt and dust and pieces of gravel and whatever else it was, there would be no snakes left.
Be no snakes left.
Yeah, they would all be dead. So, I mean, come on, guys, stop feeding your stuff in separate enclosures. No reason for it whatsoever.
None at all.
Okay, and here we go. It says, and they cast out the dragon, and the dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, that delivereth the whole world. And it says that he laid hold of the dragon, that old serpent, which was the devil and Satan. Now here again, I don't know your beliefs on Satan and the devil.
You know, I don't discount anything. It's one of those things where For me, Christianity might be right. Paganism could be right. I try to be pretty open-minded with that stuff.
Well, actually, here, let's stop here just for 1 second talking about this, because we talk about paganism, okay? A lot of people, when they hear the word pagan, right away they think of a very negative
They think
thing.
Satanists.
They think Satanists, they think witchcraft, they think... Now, pagan, though, is actually described more as outback woods people who have a tendency to believe in spirits, have, like the Druids, they believe there's a spirit in the tree, and stuff like that. They're not necessarily Satanists or anything else, they just have a more, if you want, Mother Nature type of belief.
Absolutely.
Okay, so again, what I want to say here, though, is, again, saying the old serpent as referring to Satan, but also in the Bible, Satan is referred to as a lion, okay? And lions don't have a bad reputation just because Satan was called a lion at some point. So just because it was referred to as that does not make that serpent an evil creature.
Absolutely.
Because he decided to take that on as his name. And it says in Jeremiah, it says, "Behold, I will send serpents, cockatrices among you, which will not be charmed, and they shall bite you." And of course, before we took the coach whip out and I was kind of charming him, he was doing exactly that.
Absolutely.
He was trying to bite me.
Yep.
And I'm not giving him a bad reputation because I was also aggravating him at the time. So, which is something we like to do. No, we're not supposed to, but that's all right. You know, you got to have fun sometimes.
Absolutely.
And again here it says, "Behold, I send forth you as sheep in the midst of wolves, to be therefore wise as serpents." We spoke about that a lot of people just think serpents are stupid, snakes just are instinctual, there's no way they think, there's no way they reason. I'll agree, there are some snakes that are probably dopey.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of people we know, they're just dopey. I don't think they think or reason either, but there are a lot of snakes that do.
Absolutely.
Okay, now this is definitely a verse that I think is way misinterpreted. I personally do not believe about going around handling snakes, trying to get bit, and saying that if I have faith, God will not let the snake bite me. But unfortunately, we do have a lot of preachers that do believe this.
Oh yeah.
They handle the snakes recklessly. They get bit. Some die, some don't. But it says in Mark, it says, "And these signs shall follow them that believe in my name. They shall cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. And they shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover." Now, again, I don't believe that this is something that God is telling us to go out and dance with serpents and hold them and get bit. I think this is something that says that if you do get bit, and you have the faith, that the Lord will protect you. Okay, I'm not drinking strychnine, I'm not dancing with the cobras, I'm not doing any of that stuff, because also, I'm sure you've heard this quote a lot before in the Bible, "Do not tempt the Lord thy God." Okay, and even if you do or don't believe in Jesus, as Jesus being God's son, when Satan told him to jump off the cliff, God will send angels to catch you. Even Jesus says, "Don't tempt the Lord thy God."
Yep.
All right, so it's not something you go out and try. Again, that verse is totally misinterpreted by a group of Appalachian preachers that are out there catching timber rattlesnakes and everything else, dancing around with them like some kind of weird people.
Drinking strychnine.
Drinking strychnine and stuff like that. I do think that there's I believe in, I can't think of the word. You believe in evolution, I believe in adaptation.
Yep.
Okay, and I also believe in people who do that stuff, they just thin out the herds of the people that shouldn't be here to begin with.
It's good population control.
Yes. Okay, so, and it says, let me see here, "For every kind of the beast of the, every kind of beast and kind of the serpent and things in the sea is tamed and hath been tamed by mankind." A lot of people will say that there's no way you can tame a snake, there's no way you can tame a lizard. What do you think about that?
I'm kind of on the fence on that one, because I've met some bigger lizards and bigger snakes that I would definitely call tame, but then I've met a lot of snakes that have become more accustomed to being handled than I would consider tame.
Right. Okay, and I think here the word tame though is kind of used in a sense where, because even like people say dog tame.
Yep.
Well, dogs aren't always tame.
No, and
dog,
we see that every day.
That's right. A dog that people say, oh, he won't bite, he's pretty, can snap just like that.
Absolutely.
So using that word tame as compared to a dog, then I would personally say that snakes can be tamed.
Yep.
Because unless something causes them to snap and go back to their natural instinct, they'll be tamed.
Absolutely.
And believing any animal is completely tame is a mistake.
Yes.
You know, it happens. They still have a natural instinct in them. It's like the most docile guy. I don't care who it is. You push him far enough,
he's gonna snap.
Somebody just comes up behind him and grabs him. I mean, the guy's liable to turn around and hit him, and he might not even be a guy who fights. Okay, we have that at work.
Yep.
I don't want to say the gentleman's name, but went to California for a wedding and ended up some guy tapped him on the shoulder after begging for money. And he just
ended up in the
hospital because his natural instincts caused him to turn around and punch the guy.
That self-preservation instinct,
you
can't beat it.
So we could say this gentleman, he wasn't tamed.
Not at all. Not at all.
And hopefully he'll watch the video and he'll know who he is. We're not mentioning any names. Okay, and then we have here, now this is one I really like because it covers a couple things. One of the apostles, Paul, actually Paul was pretty cool because people don't like to forgive people. Like, who's that guy that killed all those guys who's up in Woodburn prison? The
Son of Sam.
Son of Sam guy, okay? Now, he supposedly became a Christian, and a lot of Christians have an issue with that. Because they're like, well, he shouldn't be in heaven. Well, it's like, well, you know what? According to our religion, though, he should because he asked for forgiveness and he was, okay? So, but Paul was really cool because Paul was one of the biggest killers of Christians, okay, until he converted. Right? It was his job to go out and just kill Christians. And then he became one of the greatest apostles that there was here. But it says now, he says, he's out gathering a bundle of sticks, and he laid them on the fire, and then came a viper out of the heat and fastened onto his hand. Now, most of your snakes will bite release, but this viper grabbed on and held onto his hand. And when the barbarians saw that the venomous beast was hanging on his hands, and they saw themselves that this man was a murderer, they said themselves, man was a murderer, and that this was his punishment, but yet he shook it off and threw the snake away, and they saw that there was no effects from him. And then they said that they started to worship him, saying that he was possibly a god. Now, the thing here is that, I mean, I believe that miracles have happened.
Absolutely.
But a lot of times miracles can be something of just a natural thing. Now, a venomous snake can bite you with no ill effects because it was what?
A dry bite.
A dry bite.
Yep.
They have a choice, and again, talking about smart, they have a choice either to waste their venom on getting rid of James here, or James ain't worth a venomous bite because they want to eat that rat.
Absolutely.
So they still bite him, he'll leave him alone, but yet they got their venom still and they can go and they can eat the rat. Now the only part, and I do believe that could have been a dry bite.
Absolutely.
Except for the fact that it latched on and hung on. Being it hung on, I would think more from the snakes I have, like my jumping viper, gaboon vipers. When they latch and hold on, there's no dry bite. And
no, they're pumping some venom in there, and it makes sense too. I mean, why hold on if you're not gonna make it count?
Right. If I have a nasty rat, which you've seen, that will tear apart a snake.
Oh yeah.
I don't like to feed live, but if I do have this nasty rat, and I've got some from our jobs every once in a while, I will throw them into a rattlesnake because I know the rattlesnake, he's just going to lay back, smack him, and then sit back and watch him die. If I give it to a constrictor, there's a chance that snake's going to get chewed up in the process of trying to eat it. Okay, what's happened here is the video camera battery actually died. So the rest of this is, James is not going to be on it, unfortunately. We're almost done. We only had a few more things to talk about here. One of the things we have to talk about is it says, And Job 2:14, yet his meat in his bowels is turned, it is the gall of asp within him. And basically what it's talking about is the gall of asp, the venom inside. I mean, I've been bit by a rattlesnake, a very painful bite. It's called a hot bite. That's why fiery serpents is a good word to describe that type of bite. But also my stomach was churned, I threw up, I got very sick, and basically again the description that the Bible's talking about, the venom of a serpent, is that it's going to upset your stomach, is going to cause you a lot of pain. Then we move on. It says here in Deuteronomy, it says the wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of asps. And again, venom is extremely painful. It's a very cruel thing. Depending on what type of venom, it'll shut down your nervous system. It'll cause your blood to not clot. It'll thicken your blood as well, so it'll harden it up. It does a lot of tissue damage, causes a lot of massive swelling, a lot of pain, a lot of destruction. So again, the description that is talking about cruel venom is, in fact, venom is very cruel and is a very painful way to die. And the last part here is talking about, toward the end it says, and the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in any of my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of thy knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. Okay, and what this is saying is a Masonic kingdom, that in the new heaven, that there is going to be no more fighting, no more deadly animals, that the snakes will actually be there. So again, snakes have to be good if God's going to have them in heaven. And that the fear of man obviously then has been removed from snakes, so that they will no longer attack us. And the snakes, again, are a good thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people have put bad stigmatism on snakes, and they really don't deserve the reputation that they got. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and if you want to see more of the videos that we do, you can subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. And someday the child may play over the hole of the cockatrice, which is the cobra. But today, as you can see, this cobra here, nobody is going to have his hand playing over its hole, because still the fear of man is in this cobra. It's very aggressive, but that too will stop. And if we look below, we have a rattlesnake. As you can hear him rattling his tail. He too has the fear of man still in him. But one day in heaven, all these creatures will get along in harmony. So how can something that some people call evil, but yet God has a place for them in heaven? So they must be good.